I've kind of meant to make a video on this topic that I'm going to go into kind of in depth in a moment for a while, but I thought it was really kind of in the spirit of Christmas to go into this, especially since I'm seeing a photo make its rounds on social media of Trudeau hanging out with some Sikhs, and this rubs some people the wrong way. It rubs me the wrong way for some reasons, but not for the reasons that it rubs so many other so-called conservatives the wrong way. So we'll go into that in a second. But first of all, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody in the Commonwealth. You know, everybody in, New Zealand and Australia. Like, I had a list of all the Commonwealth countries here. I had no idea there were so many in Africa, but where my mom is from, so technically I'm from there, if you're the sort of person that thinks that way. Trinidad and Tobago, that's part of the Commonwealth, and boy, do they ever celebrate Christmas in the Caribbean. Yeah, they sure do. Predominantly Christian countries, by the way, most of them, and so Merry Christmas to everybody in the Commonwealth who celebrates Christmas, and even if you don't, I want to send out that message of goodwill to everybody in the Commonwealth for this Christmas time of year. But now I got to go into this. Sikhs. Do you understand that the Sikh religion is highly compatible with Christianity? It's so similar in terms of notions of charity and peace and passivity and things like this. Much more so than a certain other religion which thou shalt not name. Now, there is a Commonwealth country which I don't think should be in the Commonwealth given its ideology and its laws and the way that it behaves towards the rest of the Western world. That's Pakistan. Now, as a kid growing up in the multi-racial, multi-ethnic, multicultural Toronto school system, I was exposed to every other culture that you can think of, especially from the Commonwealth. And it was never Sikhs that were the bad guys. It was never Sikhs that were bullying me. It was never Sikhs that I had to put up with any kind of nasty, egregious behavior from. It was that other country that gets confused with India that I just mentioned. Those were the guys, and certain other places too, parts of Africa and whatnot. So when I seen this picture of Justin Trudeau hanging out with Sikhs, I'm like, I don't care that he's hanging out with Sikhs. I don't like it because he's pandering, because it's Prime Minister's selfie, virtue signaling. Look at me, I'm hanging out with minorities, and I'm being part of their different and diverse culture. You've probably heard me talk about this before, especially if you've been subscribed for a long time. I hate liberals' soft bigotry. I hate how liberals and libtards and you name it, when they see a colored person on the street, they get this warm fuzzy feeling in their stomach. Oh, diversity, it's so wonderful. Never mind just a colored person, especially if there's some kind of headdress involved or something, or some totally different, costume involved in that culture. They get this automatic warm fuzzy feeling. They don't care about the ethos that person might have. They don't care about the ideology that person might have. They don't care about the contents of that person's mind. They don't really care about any of that. They just love this superficial, diversity. And that's a type of soft bigotry, and that disgusts me. So let nobody here watching this video think that I'm going to be just beating up on conservatives. I beat up on liberals all the time. I hate them because they are so bigoted in their own weird, strange, passive, ignorant, juvenile, superfluous, Lisa Simpson kind of way. And I despise them. But now let's talk about the conservatives that are pissed off by this picture because brown people ain't Christmas. You know what I mean? If you understood, the Sikhs have been part of the Commonwealth since its inception. Sikhs have fought and died in every single war that the Commonwealth has gone to. So don't give me this shit that, sorry. This is like my 5th time doing this video because I'm trying not to edit it and just do it straight through. And I keep getting really worked up at this notion, this notion that, I just see it all the time on Facebook and when I was on Twitter too. Anytime Sikhs get any kind of law changed or repealed so that they can wear their turban, and then you see these conservatives that are just so, they're just so mad, they're just so infuriated, it just turns their stomach, That is, in my mind, horseshoe theory, that's just as bad as libtards pandering to them. It's just as bad because it is so ill-informed, so misinformed. It's based on such a superfluous gut reaction that, frankly, is intellectually dishonest. It's intellectually impoverished. Okay, again, if you bother to do a little deep dive, what the kids are calling deep dive, on Sikhism as a religion, you'll see how much more compatible it is with Christianity than, say, well, you know which other one we could be talking about, right? So much more compatible. And again, well, being a conservative really means being conservative, conserving things like resources and being financially responsible, but also socially speaking, conserving your culture, conserving your history. But so many Canadians are completely oblivious to the fact that as a Commonwealth country, we should have the Union Jack on our flag. We don't anymore because of liberalism, because of social engineering, the opposite of being conservative, the opposite of conserving our history and our culture. That's why we got rid of the Union Jack and we have this travesty of a flag now. I'm sorry, I can never take it seriously because I know it was designed to pander to one province and one group of people in Canada who de facto are not part of the Commonwealth and are disgusted by the notion of having the Queen as our de facto head of state, right? So when you realize that India, with their main religions, Sikhism and Hinduism, really are compatible with the Commonwealth, there's so many Sikhs that celebrate Christmas. Not all, but so many do. You see these stories every year, and that's not just the libtard mainstream media making that shit up. Again, I grew up around Sikhs, and they were fine, good people. They were always making an effort. All the ones that I knew always made an effort to so-called assimilate, to fit in as Canadians. I remember one of my friends from grade 6 or 7 was always wearing the little turban with the thing on the top there. God, how many so-called conservatives don't even understand that Muslims don't wear that? But anyways, come high school, he got rid of it. And I said, hey, what happened to your turban? He says, James, it's not for me anymore. More or less, he wanted to fit in as a Canadian. And I've known so many Sikhs that are like that. And even Sikhs who do wear the turban, they struggle to make their religion compatible with Canadian culture. They actually put in that effort. They're not trying to subjugate Canada. Now, I know what some people are saying, well, what about the Khalistanis? They're terrorists. Oh, they're evil terrorists. And yeah, I myself made that video talking about how Justin Trudeau, when he visited India, squandered his opportunity. Maybe I didn't say this clearly. Squandered the opportunity to continue to build ties with that excellent nation, right? And what did he do? He invited a Khalistani terrorist to the state dinner. Yeah, Khalistanis aren't good people, but they're a small subsection of Sikhs, and I'm willing to wager to say, I'd place a bet that the vast majority of Sikhs don't like Khalistanis. But the other thing is, Khalistanis aren't trying to subjugate Canada. Khalistanis are for a separatist movement in India. They want a Sikh homeland in India. They're not trying to establish a Sikh homeland in Canada. So if you see a person with a turban on and you automatically think terrorist, there's something really wrong with you and you're just being intellectually dishonest. And doubly so if you see a Sikh around Christmas and you feel that way. Most Sikhs are cool with Christmas and they celebrate Christmas, and again, their religion is compatible with Christianity. And they're part of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth that we're part of, that we've forgotten because we've socially engineered it out of the mainstream narrative about our country. I wish we could go back to having that old flag. But what's the other thing? Well, James, they are changing our laws because now they don't have to wear a motorcycle helmet and they get to wear their turbans. So what? So what? What's your argument there? So they might take a header off the bike and bust their head and then be a burden to taxpayers because of our wonderful so-called universal healthcare system? Of all the things that we can complain about, with all the waste, all of the money that just vanishes into the bureaucracy of our healthcare systems in every province, that's the hill you want to die on? That's the battle you want to fight? Telling me, but, well, because Sikhs don't have to wear motorcycle helmets, they're going to be taking taxpayer money. Really? That's your argument? You're really reaching. You're really grasping if that's your argument against Sikhs wearing their turbans when they're riding motorcycles on the roads. Really, you're really grasping, and I don't buy it. I don't buy it. That's bullshit. Produce some credible statistics to show me how many Sikhs have been a burden to taxpayers because they didn't wear motorcycle helmets. Really? That's your argument? Give me a break. So all of this knee-jerk gut reaction, the xenophobia against Sikhs, really disgusts me. It's misinformed, it's impoverished, and at the end of the day, you just look like the worst kind of conservative, which is what the picture that liberals paint of conservatives. You're dragging the rest of us down. Conservatives, really by definition, are kind of centrist or just right of center. All the alt-right folks and the people that would like to see people like me go back, even though I was born here, Even though I am a true conservative, not a cuck-servative. You know, if I was white and saying all of this stuff that I'm saying, how many so-called conservatives, especially from Quebec and especially from Alberta and that area, not all, will call me a cuck-servative because of the things that I'm saying. It is so basically ignorant and divorced from reality, the reality of what Sikhs and India in general is as part of the Commonwealth historically and our own history as a country. It's so frustrating. My own personal experiences with Sikhs over the years, they're fine people, and they have no interest in destroying Canada's Christian culture or our Christian underpinnings or any of the rest of it. But by the same token, there's a bit of an onus that should fall on you as a conservative to be a little bit less ignorant towards people with brown skin, because not all people with brown skin have the same ideologies, you know? It's so obvious, but I guess it needs to be said, which is sad, you know? And again, it's interesting to think about the province that really picks on Sikhs and really picks on anybody who's different, Quebec, the de facto non-Commonwealth part of Canada. And I was living there, and they passed a law saying that little kids aren't allowed to wear their turbans when they're playing soccer because it's a safety issue. Right, it's bullshit. That's just pure, straight-up Quebec bigotry. That's all that is. You see it all the time in Quebec. I know that I probably have very few Quebec conservatives who watch this channel. Because, again, I lived in Montreal. I saw how it was, and I would talk to people, and they'd be like, James, you have no idea the sort of things that white so-called conservatives talk about behind your back. Like, it's really scary. Again, it's the worst, shittiest, most impoverished, most bigoted, most racist version of conservatism that the liberals want you to believe is conservatism. Sad. You're just playing into it. What else did I want to say? My buddy Amrit that was on the fencing team with me, just like me. So I'm not a Sikh. And if I didn't make this clear, I am from the Caribbean. My mother's from the Caribbean. And if you would have to go back 4 or 5 generations in my family tree to find anybody actually from India. But when I say Amrit, who was a Sikh on the fencing team with me, was just like me, I mean in the sense that if you never saw his face and you just talked to him on the phone or something, you would, for the life of you, believe that he was just another white Canadian. So why the fuck should it matter what skin color people have? Anyways, again, I just wanted to make this as a Merry Christmas to everybody in the Commonwealth. Let's celebrate that common shared history that we have tied to the British Empire together, and I think it's a wonderful thing, but that includes India, and it includes Sikhs. So stop beating up on Sikhs. I'm specifically talking to Canadians because I'm getting really sick of seeing it. Okay, just the sheer blatant ignorance associated with that, just knee-jerk xenophobia. Every time you see somebody wearing a turban, you hate their guts. It's ridiculous. These people fought in wars for the British Empire. They gave their lives. Their culture and their religion is so compatible with Christianity. Just stop being so friggin' ignorant. Goodwill and peace to everybody. Anyways, again, Merry Christmas to everybody in the Commonwealth and to my American friends who may be watching. Thank you so much, especially to my Patreons. It's been a hard Christmas season because I've lost patrons, but I understand why. And we're still hoping that Jordan Peterson is going to have his alternative to Patreon up and running soon. Let's see. But if you'd like to help me out for Christmas, of course, it's never too late. Anytime you can give a one-time donation on PayPal. It's always very much appreciated. Please like and share and subscribe. And if you hate everything that I just said, then unsubscribe and dislike, because I don't need you so-called real conservatives who actually don't really know anything about conservatives and our country and our culture as a Commonwealth country. I don't need you around, so go do your own thing. But for the rest of you, thanks a lot for clicking and watching. Please like and share and subscribe, and consider donating. We'll talk to you again real soon, friends, definitely before the new year. Bye-bye.